Ladies and gentlemen, as representing the proposition today, we believe that we should not abandon our children to the cruelty of cyberspace. And I will bring this to you and the reasons why in three main points of contention. Firstly, about the substantive of individual privacy. Secondly, about the effectiveness of our policy and versus their alternatives. And lastly, about privacy and parental autonomy. On my first point of contention, they said that what parents do does not amount to anything. And they say that individual privacy is a very inherent right. However, outside believes that rights must be regulated and must also be measured against their consequences. Ladies and gentlemen, let's say we even take adults for an example. At the customs, if a person is suspected of carrying a dangerous weapon on board a plane, he is strip searched to prevent this weapon from being taken aboard the plane. Therefore, even for adults, rights must be measured against their consequences and cannot give children privacy for the simple reason that they are not mature and are too naive to handle it. Therefore, if even adults must have their rights measured against their consequences, then we believe that this is even more true for children who have not reached the age and the mental maturity to navigate the dangerous or complicated situations that they may face on the internet. Because the nature of internet contact is that they are coming into contact with people from different social and cultural backgrounds, and these people are often anonymous. Therefore, if the child cannot even handle certain social relationships at school, what makes the opposition think that they will be able to handle their right to privacy online? Therefore, we believe the rights must be measured against the consequences. And even if the right was given, it is still bad because there is no alternative for parents to try and help their children. But sir, thank you, sir. Side proposition believes that parents are out of touch. Side opposition believes that parents are out of touch. And we say why? Because they argue that parents should not have access to what the children are posting online. We believe that what children post on social networking websites are inherently what they believe, and the relationships they could be forming with individuals who are harming them. Therefore, there is no alternative to our policy for the simple reason, thank you, sir, that parents who are kept in the dark cannot fulfill their basic duty to their children to protect them from harm. Therefore, our policy is the only effective way for parents to gain enough knowledge to protect their children from the harm that could occur. Because we've already many examples where unregulated privacy has caused downfall of the child, suicide even. Thank you, sir. This is not what we want to happen to children. And we believe that parents who have the best interests of their children in mind would not want their lives to end early at 20 years old. We want to protect children, which is why we believe in giving the parents the password request. Now, I want to very rebuttal about the effectiveness of our policy versus their alternatives. They said that online support structures allow children to express their opinion. Ladies and gentlemen, we have no issue with the child expressing his or her opinion unless it is on a medium such as the internet, in which any loose comment or any immature remark can go viral. Thank you, sir. Therefore, and the very fact that they give us alternatives concedes that the children need some sort of protection from their parents because they are simply not mature enough to handle the freedom that they get online. Now, we believe that if they already require this alternative, then all that is left for me to prove is why this alternative is why our policy is the only way to do it. Because our outside believes that parents are not actually restricting their freedom, thank you, sir, but actually, and they're not controlling every post, but they're merely going online to ensure that what their child posts is not forming harmful relationships in which their 14-year-old daughter can have sex with an older man without them even knowing about it. They are not fulfilling their duty as a parent if they are kept unaware. And side opposition is merely preventing them from carrying out their duty to protect the child. And even if the alternatives were to work in some strange scenario, thank you, sir, we say that alternatives, that what they say is too bad because the reason why the parents cannot communicate with the children and have to resort to these desperate measures is because there's probably already a problem in the first place. We see that parents probably suspect that there are many issues going on with the child. Thank you, sir. And therefore, the relationship has become dysfunctional because the parents and child are unwilling to communicate to each other. Therefore, the parents are willing to resort to the hassle of finding legal documentation sufficient to prove that the child's account is the account of the child. But sir, thank you, sir. Which is why we advocate this policy as a desperate measure. Which is why we say that only on request in such a situation will be allowed. On to my last point of contention about parental autonomy. They say that what we say is completely wrong and that choosing the clothes that the child wears is okay. However, we have got to use the example that when a child is in coma in a life-threatening situation, the parents have the choice, the life or death choice of choosing whether or not the child's life support system is taken away. Therefore, we say that parents have control over such important decisions. Then why do they not have control over whether or not a child should have a certain amount of freedom? We challenge the opposition to give us a legal definition of the correct way, the best way to bring a child up. Since there is none, we say that it's only right to allow the parent to choose how much liberty or how conservative they want to be in bringing the child up. Therefore, we say that the parental autonomy is there because the parents know the child best and also have the right to choose how the child should be brought up. And even if they say that the parents do not have this right, which is totally ridiculous, we say that it's still bad. What they say is still bad because of the harms that can occur. The internet has anonymous profiles, there's a giant scale, 10,000 individuals maybe, of different social and cultural backgrounds that individuals can interact with. Therefore, since the children are not ready to navigate these situations, and because of the examples have shown you what kind of harm can occur to this individual, tragic deaths at the age of 40 years old, we believe that you should support the proposition because we not only protect children, but respect the parents' rights and also show you why our policy is the most effective way. Therefore, I'm proud to propose. Thank you.
We see a case where side proposition legitimizes parenthood, such as helicopter parenting, and of the authoritarian kind of approach to parenting that suppresses the growth and development of a child. In this debate, there's been two main questions raised. One, who best protects the interests of a child? And number two, who best integrates progressive parenting in a child's development? Now, going on to my first part of the class, who best protects the interests of a child? Now, we'll be tackling this on two main levels: the security of the child, the development of the child. Now, let's see security. Security has been a huge problem, and they raised examples such as Manitot and extreme measures of cyberbullying that have happened over the past few years. Now, we say that suicide doesn't happen overnight. It's a huge process of depression, which the parent should have noticed. And Manitot must have been depressed for months before committing suicide. We said if they had an increase of communication between the child and the parent, then the parent would have noticed it and would have been able to intervene earlier, even if they had the password to the child's account. Now, and then we go further to say that there are already safeguards to protect people like Manitot, and that depriving people like Manitot from these safeguards, like online support structures that give people the access to professional help to care online is even more detrimental than giving passwords to the parent. Why? Because online support structures, they have professionals behind them. We see that professionals give a myriad of opinions of advice that parents are just not able to provide. Now, we say that even providing the parents with this password can increase the detriment held by the child and increase the threat of breach of security for the child. Why? Because we see a shift of onus here. We see that parents are now giving the accountability for their child's safety. The social networks and online sites like Facebook will no longer be incentivized to improve safeguards that are already in place. We see a shift of onus. We see that it's not justified because why? The social networks are the ones that have the most influence, the most hand in actually providing and maintaining the safety of the child. And then they went on further to say that cyberbullying, the parents are more experienced and that children are much too immature to handle problems such as cyberbullying. We see that things like cyberbullying are a totally different place from, let's say, conventional bullying. We see that the experience that the parent goes through, say, as they get punched at the age of 15 in 1960, probably won't help in cases such as this, where we see anonymous people harassing children online. We see that parents are not the right authorities, and they went further to say that the point is about early detection. The parents are able to detect problems earlier, and that will intervene earlier. Well, we say, why not just provide this information to the professionals directly? Why are parents the ones who are able to get the information? Why is this contextualization, and why is early detection not detected by professionals instead? Now, going on to the second level, the development of the child. Now we see that privacy is crucial in a child's development. Why? Because privacy is our way of protecting our right to define a social persona and our right to define our own social life. And we see that when parents intervene in this private space, that development is detrimental. Because why? We see that parents can sometimes be self-righteous. they're not these perfect individuals that always have the best interest of the child in place. They may always want that child to be an extension of their own voice. We don't want this to see. We want more individuality, so that child is not just a carbon copy of their parents. Now going to my second path, who best integrates progressive parenting in today's era? Now I'll be tackling this on two grounds. Who best protects the parent-child relationship and who best protects parental autonomy. Now let's see. They said that they even went so far as to say that working on conversations is good. Why? Because children is taking into account what their parents think about what impulse. Now we see that we bring the notion of siege mentality that we didn't really deal with. And we see that when children walk the conversations online, they'll go on to other alternative ways, unmoderated means such as unmoderated creating fake accounts under fake names where parents don't have the password to. Why? Because they are unable to get the password to a fake name account. And that is where we see that children are now under unmoderated alternative, but now that parents are given a false sense of security, they think they know what's going on in their child's life. Now we see that and then they say that, well, this can even raise a discussion between the child and the parent, because we see that any discussion based on what conversations will not be based on a general social persona that the child presents. We see that we see that even if wording doesn't happen, we see that any discourse raised will be confrontation, not communication. We see that the only discourse raised will be at the dinner table where parents confront their children about what they've been posting on Facebook rather than actually getting to know their children. Now to the last level of analysis, the right to parental autonomy. I mean, they say that it's in every right of parents to control the freedom of their children. And then you would even go so far as to ban social networking, which is a huge part of society nowadays. We see that this can not only detriment the child's development, but it is so disproportionate and it is almost authoritarian of parenthood. And for all that I said, walk with the opposition.